You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Tuesday, May 28, 2019. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us. A threat of industrial action by the island's public transportation bus operators, and from what we're told, it goes beyond the outstanding bus roster issue. Gary Moreno broke the story earlier today, and shortly before news time, he spoke with Chris Ferbert, president of the Bermuda Industrial Union, which represents the bus workers, about this development.
Yes, the workers did have a meeting, divisional meeting yesterday evening here at BIE headquarters. The workers have basically outlined to the organizer, Brother Graham Nisbet, who is filling in for Brother George, who was on the BWI conference, that these issues that have been outstanding for many years, they want the management team to address them within, I think they give them 24 hours. Failing that, they're going to implement a work to rule.
But what would have been the catalyst for this? What are the issues at hand here?
They're talking about job descriptions and new hiring for Bermudians and contract workers. They're talking about a lot of health and safety issues in the dockyard depot and the east, in the west depot, at the east depots, and also some concerns about HQ1. And then the final thing is regarding non-working radios, got roaches in the buses, and the sightseeing coordinators. These are three very important issues that the operators, the bus operator and Allied Works Division, want some answers to. And rightfully so, because I remember dealing with a few of these issues myself, probably 2 or 3 years ago, Gary. And to date, they're still outstanding, and I think it's not acceptable.
Has there been any communication with the management of the PTB? Because we understand that the workers are also calling for the removal of the senior management team.
Having made aware that I think Sherry Ritter, the assistant head of the civil servants, is going to receive a letter from the division, and because they had a lengthy discussion with the membership last night, and they took a vote of no confidence on the senior management team, namely Mr. Roger Todd, Mr. Nell Christopher, and Ms. Tori Burchell. Division has decided that it would appear that the management, according to the operators, they are making decisions that the members feel very, very concerned about, and basically they don't have any confidence in them that things are getting done. When we look at the collective bargaining agreement as it relates to the purpose of the agreement, it clearly states that the employer and the union recognize that this agreement imposes serious duties and responsibilities, which at all times must be faithfully observed, and both parties pledge themselves to comply with the provisions and to cooperate in good faith. And somehow the members don't feel like the management team are cooperating in good faith. It seems like it's got to be the way or the highway, and that's no way to racially run a department, particularly an organized department. They've got to follow what the CBA says, and the purpose of this agreement clearly states that the partnership are cooperating in good faith, and if they're not bargaining in good faith, then that's enough. You can have these kind of little confidence that's going to take place from time to time because people feel like they're being taken advantage of.
So the 24-hour notice, when does that expire?
I think the management team should have those 2 letters by now. I spoke to the organizer and the president. We was just doing the finishing touches on the 2 letters. So they should be in management's hand now. So I would think the 24 hours is going to start by, I would say, 3 o'clock tomorrow.
And of course, that was Gary Moreno reporting. We are awaiting a response from government on these developments. In other news, if you're thinking about borrowing cash from a fast cash lender, you might want to think it over at least. That's what opposition MP Leah Scott is recommending. It comes after one local fast cash lender reportedly filed lawsuits over 26 people, unpaid loans. Troy Trott tells us more.
The lender Carib Cash made the news this week that it had taken more than 24 people to court over unpaid debts. The legal action shunned a spotlight on the organization's lending practices and the interest rates it charges. The Shadow Minister for Tourism, Transport and Regulatory Affairs, Leah Scott, said she was alarmed over the court action.
Well, first of all, Troy, I find it very alarming that they would take that number of people to court. But it also, to me, is a greater indication of the economy and the state of the economy, and it demonstrates how desperate people are, because these types of lending facilities are what I would call predatory lenders, and so they're charging extortionate interest rates, and they're promising fast cash, and there are very little background checks.
It was revealed that Carib Cash, which is not licensed through the Bermuda Monetary Authority but is registered there, charged interest rates of up to 31% compared to more than 19% by local banks.
It shows that there's no kind of business moral value by the company to take advantage of people like that and to justify charging an interest rate of up to 32.1%. The lending rate on a credit card is only 19%, and those are by licensed entities. Banks are licensed.
Ms. Scott has this warning for residents thinking about borrowing money.
And it's terrible. And I think that Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda and the general public need to be aware that these predatory lenders will take advantage of you. Make sure that you know what you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line, because once you get in, you can't get out.
And that was Tarai Trot reporting. Meantime, when contacted about our story, Carib Cash Director Taiwo Aganyemi denied being a payday lender and insisted his company follows strict rules.
Well, it's understandable, but it is a pity that these financial terms, such as payday lending, now they're bandied about without full comprehension of their meaning. It's probably because, unlike other economies, Bermuda has, very few alternative financing options. But I can stress, we are not payday lenders. Carib Cash is a financial lending company providing loans to both consumers and small businesses. To be precise, we provide unsecured consumer loans of up to $25,000 for 2 years and business loans of up to $50,000 for 5 years. In no way are we a payday lender. In addition to that, we do not disburse cash. All payments and collections are between local bank accounts, and all our borrowers have to be credit-worthy and meet our strict affordability criteria based on their salaries and full-time employment. We have thorough know your customer and anti-money laundering procedures that we adhere to strictly. So it's good to understand that we're not here to replace the banks, but to complement them by providing much-needed alternative financing options to Bermuda. So I'd just like to encourage you, try us and see how we operate.
Coming up, a shark makes a close pass by to swimmers. Hurricane season is coming, the latest weather news, and so much more. Stay tuned.
Cal is back. He's been hearing about open internet and wonders if it applies to Bermuda. The short answer is yes. Open internet or net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers, referred to as ISPs, must provide access to all lawful websites and online data equally, regardless of whether you're posting pictures to Instagram, watching your favorite sports team, or even streaming movies from Netflix. Without open internet, ISPs could influence what you see and how quickly you see it by speeding up some services and slowing down or even blocking your access to legal content or apps. The regulatory authority is developing rules for open internet to protect consumers by making it clear to ISPs what they can and cannot do with internet traffic. And we'd like your input. Just visit rab.bm and submit your feedback by clicking on the public consultation for open internet link between May 20th and June 28th. Make sure your voice is heard.
4K ready box, cloud DVR storage, more local channels on every device in your home. Get more with FiberWire TV.
Welcome back. Well, police say 5 motorists were arrested for impaired driving offenses over the Bermuda Day holiday weekend with road sobriety checkpoints conducted in 6 parishes from the evening of Thursday, May 23rd until the evening of Sunday, May 26th. Of the 5 motorists apprehended, 3 were arrested at road sobriety checkpoints, with another 2 arrested on suspicion of impaired driving following separate road crashes. 1 boater was also arrested on suspicion of piloting or being at the helm of a boat while impaired. There are no road sobriety checkpoints scheduled for this coming weekend. However, members of the public are urged not to drive a vehicle, ride or operate a boat under the influence for their own safety and for all road users as well as those navigating our waters. And some unexpected excitement for a couple of visitors staying at the Pompano Beach Club yesterday. They headed out for a swim, which is interrupted by a denizen of the deep. Here's how the encounter unfolded.
This shark is right there, and there now is someone in the water. Here. Get back on the raft! There's a shark on the raft! There's a shark! Get back on the raft! Oh my God, that was scary.
A close encounter indeed. Well, turning to weather news, wet and cloudy today, but we have brighter conditions on the way. Let's go to AccuWeather headquarters for the latest weather details.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you this forecast, and boy, did we have some rain today. We are talking some areas seeing a little more than 1 inch of rain. It's because of a cold front that came sweeping through. It did not really change our temperatures or the humidity, but it certainly did give us some rain. Here's a closer look at what's going on. We still have a couple of showers lingering. That's going to be the case into tonight. Temperature 75 degrees. Humidity, it's up there at 85%. The water is warm at 76 degrees. The waves inside the reef, pretty calm. We're talking around a foot, and outside 2 to 4 feet. Low tide coming up at 11:33 p.m. tonight. The next one tomorrow morning at 11:43. We do not have any advisories to talk about. Tonight, expect to see mostly cloudy conditions, and again, chance of a showers, but it is going to be drying out as the night moves forward. A temperature of 70 for the low. Here is our futurecast, and notice not much going on. We're not seeing a whole lot of green here over Bermuda, just a southerly flow, warm, moist air moving on in. So tomorrow, clouds giving away to some sunshine. Will reach 78 degrees for the high, the low right around 70. It's going to be a pretty nice day. In Jamaica, expect to see a storm popping up. Barbados could as well, and Trinidad sitting at 88 degrees. Chances of a thunderstorm developing. Toronto, it's going to be a bit wet, 61 degrees. New York, chance of a pretty powerful storm. If you are traveling in that direction, keep an eye on your flight. Boston misses out. The storm stays to the south of Massachusetts. They'll see a temperature of 60 degrees. This week, nothing but sunshine. Look at that. Our temperatures are increasing to 79 degrees. Now we have a shift by Sunday, and we are going to see moist air, moisture coming up from the south. That's going to increase our cloud coverage on Sunday, and we're also expecting periods of rain, perhaps a thunderstorm. A temperature on Sunday of 78 degrees. Have a great night.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
And you are watching the Tuesday edition of Bermuda Tonight. Well, 7 people were hurt when 2 cars being driven in opposite directions collided on South Road in Paget near the junction with South Coast Road around 10:10 p.m. last Sunday night. The driver of the westbound car, said to be a 34-year-old Southampton man, was treated at King Edward Memorial Hospital and later discharged. He was also arrested on a suspicion of impaired driving. At last check, the driver of the eastbound car, said to be a 35-year-old Smiths Parish man, was recovering in stable condition on a general ward at the hospital. The 5 passengers in the eastbound vehicle, said to be 6, 9, 11, 14, and 16 years old, understood to be the 35-year-old man's children, were all treated at the hospital and later discharged. Inquiries continue, and any witnesses that have not already come forward are encouraged to call Constable Jadziko Douglas on the main police telephone number at 295-0011. In other news, should the government allow Uber-style ride services into Bermuda to compete with traditional taxi drivers? The Progressive Labour Party government has already ruled this out. Opposition MP Leah Scott says Uber should be allowed into the country. She made her remarks amid news that government will be granting additional taxi permits and amid continued complaints from the public over the level of taxi service during the evening and overnight hours. Ms. Scott spoke to Bermuda Broadcasting News.
I think that we should. You know, the retort by the government is always that there is Hitch. Well, Hitch is a program that is operated through the taxis and not through private cars. We already have a problem with taxis, an adequate number of taxis being on the road at the appropriate times. So I think that Uber should, or Lyft should definitely be considered. And I don't know why it's off the table, because, you know, as other jurisdictions progress in terms of meeting the transportation needs of that country, it's a, you know, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's something that should be considered. It's an ability to provide entrepreneurship to people who don't have jobs, and there are lots of benefits from implementing an Uber or Lyft service, I believe.
opponents of Uber will say that if it is allowed, it would take away the business from the taxi drivers who have to pay the license and the higher fees, while the Uber, which is private cars, they won't have to pay that structure.
Well, I think you put in a structure that's going to be fair, but to be honest, the taxi drivers are not adequately servicing the industry and the business that we have. So what do? Do we let our general public suffer? You know, we've got the road sobriety checks, and restaurants and other places are losing business because people are not coming out because they don't have a way to get home.
'Tis this season. There's Barry, Aaron, Umberto, and Olga. These are just some of the 2019 Atlantic storm names. We are only a few days away from the start of hurricane season, with one named storm already under our belt, Subtropical Depression Andrea. After back-to-back years of extensive damage in the U.S. and heavy insurance exposure here in Bermuda, all eyes are on the Atlantic and on climate change. Tony Waterman reports.
Early indications point to a near-normal 2019 Atlantic hurricane season.
The Atlantic hurricane season outlook calls for a near-normal season with a 70% chance of 9 to 15 named storms.
Of those storms, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration expects 2 to 4 major hurricanes, while Colorado State University is forecasting 2 Cat 3 hurricanes or higher. The forecasts come after 2 years of hefty economic and insured losses. 2017 set a record, while last year brought 2 of the most destructive storms to ever hit the U.S., Hurricanes Florence and Michael. Insured losses topped $20 billion. Claims are still being settled, especially in Florida. But Jim Auden of Fitch Ratings says the industry is ready for 2019.
I think the industry is pretty well prepared, so definitely we had a lull for a few years with more than a decade of no Florida landfalls especially, but the last 2 have been very active seasons.
It was Hurricane Hermine which broke the streak, smashing into Florida's northwest coast in 2016. While meteorologists tracked the storm, scientists homed in on something else: rising sea levels and warmer waters.
One of the interesting things about Hermine is the fact that the waters were several degrees warmer than usual. And so when Hermine came off of land, it actually got a little bit stronger there. And so the recent trend of warming in the northeast continental shelf definitely affected the storm.
A recent U.S. government report showed that sea levels along the coast have risen about 9 inches since the early 20th century. Here in Bermuda, a National Trust report says rising seawaters could corrode buildings, alter the soil chemistry, and flood low-lying buildings, including vulnerable historical sites.
There's been great improvements on mapping flood risk and being able to assess the risk. Every new storm, every new bit of information they get, the modeling firms incorporate that and try to adjust.
Technology has made modeling more precise, pinpointing risk factors to certain areas. But the worry is, as climate change intensifies, there will be fewer places immune from natural disasters.
Earl Basin will have all the latest sports news after the break. Stay with us.
4K ready box, cloud DVR storage, more local channels on every device in your home. Get more with FiberWire TV.
Enjoy memorable moments brought to you by ZBM.
What? You want to race? Rubber Duck Derby 2019. Raffle tickets now on sale. Bring the whole family. Presented to you by Friends of Hospice and Lindo's lead sponsor.
Now Earl Basin has tonight's sports package.
In a partnership between the Bermuda Football Association and PartnerRe, 16-year-old Caleb McDowell is the latest recipient of the Kenneth Smokey Thompson Athlete Sponsorship Award.
McDowell has been awarded $5,000 to cover the cost of traveling abroad for a training experience. He was very appreciative of those who have made this opportunity possible.
First off, I would like to thank my parents for supporting me and just pushing me along, keeping me going on the right path to get to this point. And thank you to the BFA staff for recognizing me and selecting me to go on this opportunity. And I'd like to thank PartnerRe and Mr. Thompson for being able to sponsor this experience so I can develop as a player and person.
Mark Waite, the Bermuda Football Association president, spoke of the success of the award and the opportunity it can afford those worthy of the award.
It's an award that's going to help them develop as players and maybe pursue different careers, whether it be professional football or college opportunities. So we're certainly looking for their football application, technical, tactical, physical, mental as well. But also, as Maurice alluded to, we're looking for the well-rounded player as well. And Caleb certainly demonstrated some of that in the National Academy.
Bermuda's Paralympian and Parapan gold medalist Jessica Lewis wrapped up her involvement in the IPC Grand Prix in Switzerland on a high. Lewis posted online, quote, "All packed up and ready to head to the next two competitions on May 30th and June 1st and 2nd. Lewis had some fast times and also had some learning experiences, which she put it all down to part of the process." Lewis concluded by saying, quote, "Happy to have ended the meet on a high note with a 400 time close to my personal best set in 2016 and faster than I went last year," end quote. During Inside Sports Talk Radio, Bermuda Half Marathon Derby champion Lamont Marshall and his coach and father Larry Marshall spoke about the race.
The first couple of miles were very steady. I wanted to sort of get a halfway decent lead into, I think I pictured maybe the first 5 miles. And I could take it from there. I could either keep it going and push it, or just maintain what I had to win. So for that first, I would say, because I think the first mile I went through and I was in the lead. So that was sort of confidence boosting, saying that, okay, I'm in the lead. I haven't gone out too fast, but I have a decent lead, and I can just sort of relax and go through for the remainder of the race.
Lamont did have a concern as the race could have all been over, as at one point he was almost attacked.
You can never plan for everything. You try to get as much as possible. I mean, I didn't know a dog was going to almost bite me. Right. Coming across Baffle. Right. I didn't know coming into town, traffic was a little backed up on Queen Street. You can't prepare for that. Right. There's nothing you can say about what to do 11 miles into the race if it's sort of, traffic in front of you or something. Right.
12 Premier and First Division cricket matches were played over the weekend, and between them they produced a total of 3,140 runs. A total of 185 wickets also fell over the 2 days. The biggest margin of victory was a 10-wicket victory for the Southampton Rangers they had over St. George's Cricket Club, and the closest was a 2-run victory that Southampton Rangers had over Bailey's Bay. The highest score for the weekend for a team was 226 for 6. Willowcotts put on the board chasing Somerset Cricket Club's 225 for 8. Dalen Richardson from the Somerset Cricket Club was the top scorer for the weekend with a knock of 122 against Western Stars. Lionel Cann from St. David's Cricket Club scored 104 against Cleveland County to finish as the second top scorer for the weekend. Kwesi James scored 74 against Somerset Cricket Club playing for Willowcotts. With figures of 10 overs, 2 maidens, 5 for 20, Malachi Jones from the Southampton Rangers led the bowling attack. Tybray Robinson from Cleveland County had the second best figures of 10 overs, no maidens, 5 for 47, and Shonari Boyle-Simmons from Workmen's Club had the third best figures of 6 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 17. Meanwhile, Kamau Levrock led the Kaythorpe Cricket Club to a 53-run victory over Redcliffe-on-Trent Cricket Club. Batting first, Kaythorpe scored 272 for 6 in their allotted 50 overs. Levrock scored 138 not out off of 115 balls. He hit 14 fours and 7 sixes. In reply, Redcliffe-on-Trent would only manage 219 for 9 in their 50 overs. Lev Rock finished with figures of 12 overs, 2 maidens, 4 for 59. Bermuda volleyball teams began competing in the U.S. Open in Columbus, Ohio, with a mixed day of results. The Bermuda men's team, Ace Boys, finished with a record of 1 win and 2 losses after day 1 in the men's B division. The Ace Boys defeated Sterling Souls in 3 games, 23-25, 25-17, 25-11, but they then fell 25-23, 25-17 to CD Select. In their final match of the day, they fell 25-15, 25-20 to Sorin. The women's program have entered 2 teams as the Island Spice and Island Time take to the women's B division. Island Spice has a record of 1 win and 2 losses. They started out with a 25-12, 25-18 win over Shake It. Island Time went down in all 3 of their matches. The 2019 Bermuda inline ball hockey season got underway with 18 goals scored in a doubleheader last evening at the PCC hockey rink. The London Knights kicked off the season with a hard-fought 5-4 win over the Windsor Spitfires, and in the nightcap, the Gloucester Rangers defeated the Strathroy Rockets 7-2.
I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
I got to get in the miles if nothing else, but I don't stress too much. I intend to enjoy the day and run as fast as I feel capable on the day, stop and say hello to people, and enjoy. If I can't run, then I'll walk and still enjoy it and have a good day. But I'm out on the road, usually the railway trail actually. It's the best place to go out and train, 3 or 4 miles a day, and just get the miles in. I'm motivated for different things. I got a young, beautiful wife I want to keep fit for. I run in races because it keeps me motivated to stay fit through the year, but this race in particular, I'm very motivated to run for the Dame Marjorie Bean Hope Academy. So Team Hope is raising money for a very special school with some very awesome students, and I encourage people to be part of that. I've never been a fast runner. Just getting out there and finishing is the best goal for me, but I'm going to try to do my best this year. I've done under 2 hours, which is about as good as I could hope to do. I haven't done that in about 8 years, so I'm gonna shoot for under 2 hours and try to make some time.
I'm Tony Waterman. Coming up on The Breakdown this week, the countdown is on. Bermuda gears up for one of the biggest changes to the healthcare system in years. Healthcare finance reform is meant to contain or even reduce exceptionally high costs. But as the new rules get set to kick in, premiums continue to tick higher for some.
Everybody's healthcare costs are going up.
I know they're going to be going up from June onwards.
They have been going up over the past year.
We'll explain what's happening, why, and whether lower healthcare costs will ever be part of Bermuda's future. That's Thursday at 8 p.m. on ZBM TV 9.
And that's our newscast. I'm Diane Brewer. Thanks for sharing your Tuesday evening with us, everyone. Good night.